Good morning. Let's wait a few minutes more if more people join, and then we start. Now it's 5 minutes more, and then we start. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Miss Tenda. Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Rouse. Good morning, Nico. Good morning, Bia. You're welcome. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Rush. Welcome, Dave. Yeah, welcome, Chip. So let's wait like 2 minutes more if some more people join, and then we start. Good morning, Darns. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Samir. Good morning, Jesser. All right, guys, without further ado, let's start today. On the 7-hour chart, price make this swing low here. I have the standard deviation measures. On Wednesday, we trade almost to minus 2.33 deviation, and then this is many times a retracement zone. So after that, price starting a consolidation. I was looking for yesterday if price will retrace to this BC. So I have the BC and the quadrants inside this BC. So yesterday we trading lower, but never close or trade below 50% of this BC. So this shows some weakness to moving lower, and then price started moving higher again. But also when this moving to the upside, we didn't take this high or this high, so consolidation range. We're not having clear what's most likely to happen in the price. So we need to wait to see if we start trading lower, right now, if the price will hold above the upper quadrant or 50% of this BC and fading to taking this low. If so, we most likely see price moving higher again to taking the previous high, or if you're taking the lows, we most likely to see price trading even lower, because here I will pay attention to this Fibonacci retracement from this low to the high, and then on Wednesday we retraced to almost to 618. Sorry, if I use the candle that breaks the high, that'll be this one. Sorry, that's the correct measure. We trade to 618, move back, but right now, like I said, we are inside this consolidation, so I'll be waiting after the opening what's where price start moving. On the 1 hour chart, we have this swing low here. Price trade until 3.5 deviation. That's a retracement zone. So we pay attention again. Price moving lower. And yesterday we trade to this 1 hour BC. The same logic that we were talking about on the 7 hour chart. Price at this time traces to the lower quadrant, failed to close below, so weakness to moving lower, and from here we start moving higher. But again, price is failing to take this previous high, so I'll be waiting now if we taking these lows or if we start moving to taking these highs. Also, because this is a retracement zone, I measured just the manipulation wick of the hour, so high and the not the full candle, just the manipulation wick. And yesterday we traded to 4.5, so that will be the end of this delivery. So now I'll do the same logic. If this was the manipulation, I'll measure just this wick, and here what I have, we trade to 3, another retracement zone. We usually to see a retracement to 0 and -1. That what happened, look, today earlier. So right now I'll pay attention if price will hold above the 50% of this level, 0 and -1, and taking the highs, or if you start moving lower to taking the lows. On the regular trading hour chart, we don't have any other new week opening gaps above. That's the last one. So in this case, I like to look into the last new day opening gap, is this gap here. So we can see here that price trading lower to the lower quadrant of this gap from this new week opening gap high and this new day opening gap low, failed to close below, start moving higher, and now price is holding above the new day opening gap. So I'll pay attention to, if holding above this level, we start moving higher to taking the previous highs. On the opening and closing range deviation, price is now moving between this closing range to this opening range. So we trading higher here, retrace, fail to close inside this yesterday opening. So right now I'll pay attention if price hold above 50% of this gap from this new of this opening range to this closing range. So there's a gap, that's the 50%, lower quadrant, upper quadrant. Right now price is holding above the 50%, so we most likely to see price moving higher. Also, let me double check one thing. Yeah, right now we just need to wait to see if we start moving higher. Good morning, Jess. On the daily deviation chart, here's the 5 minute. We have the opening. So price start after the opening, we move lower. So we have this value from the low if you draw a quadrant here from 0 and 25%, and now 0 and the 25% above, we can see the price failing to close below the upper quadrant of this range from 0 and the minus 25. So it shows some bullishness for the price. When we're moving higher, price close above the upper quadrant but fail to close above the 25%, retrace but never take this lows, I mean the low that we making right after the opening. So I like to see here on the 3 minute chart, I like to pay attention to the measure. That will be the low to the next opposite color candle high. So I have this measure here, looking for these deviations. We trade to 3 minus 3, retrace it to sometimes it's very rare, but price can retrace to the 0 and positive 1. So that will be this level here, and now we are moving higher again. So I'll pay attention to this move here. I'll pay attention to this move here until 3.5 and 4 deviation. Also, let me double check one thing. On the 15 minute time frame, we have this candle here. If I measure the full candle, yeah, got pretty similar levels. So yeah, I'll pay attention to 3.5 and 4 of the 15 minute, because that's for New York session. I like to see the swing low using the 15 minute or the 9 minute chart. Just let me see if I have the same level. So on the on the 9 minute, I have pretty similar levels of the 15. So I'll pay attention to this two deviations here for the price moving right now, since we failed to take the low that we make that was made after the 6 p.m. opening. So let's wait. On the stop hunt chart, we can see the price take the London low and the Asia low, and also took the Asia high and the stop hunt level 1 for Asia. But right now price didn't take even not the stop hunt level 2 of Asia up here, or even the stop hunt level 1 and for Asia and London. So we don't have it clear if you're going to take this stop hunt level 3, because we need to take at least the level 1 and 2, and that confirms that we go to take the level 3. So right now, today is a consolidation range day, because yesterday we got this massive expansion, first to the downside, later to the upside. So we expect some kind of a consolidation for a while, and that was happening since the opening today. Price, like I was showing on the daily deviation chart, we didn't close above the 25% above or the 25% below, so consolidation range. But I'll pay attention that we most likely to trading higher to take the previous high. So I'll be waiting for the opening. On the time-based standard deviation range, we have the regular trading hours range. We are inside the range, so initially we started moving higher, failing to close above the upper quadrant, so failing to taking the highs. On the retrace, we never closed below the 0.786, so retracement level, so that showed that we now moving to taking lower. So now I'll pay attention what to the 50% of the range. That was the first move into the 50%, failed to close above, but on the retrace now pricing holding above the lower quadrant. So for me, it looks for bullish to moving higher. So I'll pay attention to take the 50% and then the 25% up here. On the 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. range is a range for London traders. After the range was formed, we trade higher to the first level, 0.23 deviation, touch this level, fail to moving higher, moving lower, but failing to take the low. So this shows some weakness to moving lower. Now I'll pay attention to the same logic of the regular trading hours range. I'll pay attention to the 50% and the upper quadrant, because on the retrace here, we move into the upper quadrant, fail, retrace to the lower quadrant, and now we are on the 50%. So if price start closing above 50%, we're going to move into the 25 and then taking the highs again. If failing, I'll pay attention to the 75%, the lower quadrant, closing below, we're going to take the lows. The 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. range, the range to trade the pre-market session. After the range was formed, we swept the lows, failed to close lower, so that shows some weakness of the price. Retrace to the OTE and get back to the first level above the low, so the 11%. So now I'll pay attention if you hold above this level, and then we need to follow the same logic of the other range. When you start closing above the 50%, to move into the 75 and then taking the highs. Or if you start closing lower, I'll pay attention now to the 11%, the last level the price failing to close earlier. And finally, the 6 to 9 a.m. range, the range to trade New York. After this range was formed, price moving lower to the OT zone, failed to close below, moving higher, failed to close above the upper quadrant, weakness to taking the highs, and now pricing trading lower. So I'll pay attention to the lower quadrant, if closing below, to taking the lows. The same logic of the other charts. The other way to measure the daily deviation is the range from 8 p.m. to 11:02. After this range was formed, we trade to the second gray box, half and one deviation. There's a retracement zone. Retracement, we touch, retrace it to the first level below the range, the 0.11. Touch this level, moving back to the first level above the range, 0.11. Now we are back to this range, but price never closed below the lower quadrant. Same logic, if you can't close below the lower quadrant, I'll pay attention to the 50% or the upper quadrant. So like I said, for now it's the consolidation range, because pricing failing on the all range, closing above the upper quadrant and the lower quadrant. So price is stuck in this range here we need to wait to see if start closing lower to take the lows or start closing higher to take the previous highs. On the time windows range, we have the 9 to 10 p.m. most likely of the days. Most of this, price will be, the high and lows of the day will be forming 4 and 4.5 deviation of 9 to 10. Right now we trade to the first gray box above, failed to close above the 2.5, so show some weakness to move into 4. Then we retrace. For the London range, the 2 and 2:15 a.m. we trade to the manipulation level on the 2, failed to close above, and trading lower to 6.5 deviation. Usually we're gonna see the first two levels filled in London, 2 and 2.5, 4 and 4.5. And now we have the New York range just formed, 9 to 9:15. I'll pay attention to the manipulation levels. On the downside or the upside will be the half and 1 deviation of this time window here. Right now, price sweated the windows low and moving higher, so we most like to see higher price, like I said. We have the opening 2 minutes. The midnight open range, smaller range, smaller than 20 points. Price trade to the 1.5 deviation upside. Retrace, trade to the 4, never close below 4. And now we need to pay attention price to close above the midnight open range. Right now we retrace, swipe to the lows, and I'll pay attention start closing above the midnight opening range high. And here, let me see just one thing. So that was the yesterday swing low that we trade to 3 deviation and then retrace. So I'll pay attention to these levels. So just one thing was the 6 p.m. There we go. Yeah, I'll pay attention to these deviations here. And now we have the open in a minute. So let's see. And for the 99.15 window, we swept the lows and failed to move higher. So let's have the opening right now. Alright, here you can see that we trade to the manipulation level to 9 to 9.15, half and 1, failed to close above. So now I'll pay attention to 2 and 2.5 deviation where price is right now. and that would be 1 deviation of the opening range. So I'll pay attention to this level here. There we go. So I take it this long. Oh no. I take this long because we failed to close below the 2.5. So I take one now on the opening range low, one on the 50% of the opening range, one on the opening range high. Now pay attention, you need to see price closing inside the opening. I'll pay attention to this retrace because now we fading to close inside, but for me that was the manipulation for the move because I'm expecting higher prices. So let's pay attention to this one here. Right now retrace to 0.705. And we need to see pricing close above half deviation here to moving higher. And then maybe I will enter 2 more. So let's wait. I had 2 more. And here, this move was a move to the half deviation of 6 to 9. Look, 6 to 9 half deviation. Sorry, the 0.32. So the first gray box. I'll pay attention to this level. And I want to see price hold above the 86, the last retracement level. If you're trading lower, I'll close this trade. So right now, with last retracement level, high resistance retracement run. So I need to see price now close above the half deviation of this range. Body's above the 86, so it's okay. So let's see if start moving higher. That will confirm the moving to the upside. There you go. Let's go, baby. There we go. Let's see now if start close inside the opening and close above the 50%. I'll probably close this trade because we about to take the low. So let me see one thing. Yeah, I'll close this one. We failed to close inside the opening, so I'll wait for a few minutes more the confirmation. Let me see if we take the lows. No, we failed to take the low, but I'll be waiting for because we failed to close inside the opening range. And I'll pay attention to the manipulation down here. And pay attention to this one. Yeah. I enter short here. Retracement to 50% of the range, and I'm looking for let me see now the range low, and then I'll take on the 3 deviation here, on the 4.5. That's top on level 3 here. and one on 4 deviation down here. So let's see this chart, because now we're feeling moving lower. We take the previous lows, and I have this deviation for the last swing high, so I'll pay attention. Now we just closed below 2.5. We're gonna move into 4 down here. So there are the levels that I'm looking for now. So let's pay attention. Price start moving. Right, the first CP, beautiful. Good morning, Fernando. So about to take the second one, second TP, perfect. Stop and break even, 0 risk trade, beautiful. Come on. About to take my third TP. Let's see. The third one, so now the runner, beautiful. Stop, break even, 0 risk trade. So let's pay attention to the 4 deviation down here. That will be this other stop on level 3. That will be a nice trade. All right. Now we trade to 4.5 deviation of 9 to 9.15. Let me just see one thing here. Yeah, that's one deviation of 6 to 9 AM range. Right here. That's 2.33 deviation of the opening range, 2 and 2.5. I'll trade my stop a little bit more aggressive. So we're about to get the last one. Trading the stop, more aggressive. Like I said, we're about to get the last one, but if we retrace, I lock some more profit. Because I'll pay attention at least 50% of 3.5 and 4. This is where the price is right now. Come on, let's go. Boom, last one, perfect. Beautiful trade, perfect delivery. So now pay attention here, 4 and 4.5. There you go. I enter long here. Stop below the 4.5 here. 4.5 deviation, 50% of 44.5 deviation, let's swing high on 15-minute chart. So now pay attention to this one here. Now pay attention to these levels. There we go. Here on the 1.5. Here 0.33. So, oh, hold on. Half 1 at 1.5. There. And also pay attention to this retracement. If we respect the levels, I have the 950 macro right now. I had 2 more. Taking on this fractal consolidation high. That's the first TP. Beautiful. Let's see. Let me see if I close this one because we didn't move in higher, but we are about to start moving. That's for me, that's a kind of a reversal time. Let me see if I hold this trade. Yeah, looks like it's fine. Just need to update the levels. Hold on. It's not having this thing low. So that's the the similar levels. No, hold on. I'll take one off manually on this factor consolidation high here, and I'll move my stop to break even, so it'll be a zero risk trade. There we go, zero risk trade. So let's see right now. And I just added two more. Well, the 10 a.m. opening. I enter again. Same targets. Take one on these lows here. On this high, sorry, on the fractal consolidation high. That was just a manipulation candle. We failed to take this low. So let's see if the price start moving. My stop was on break even, so it was zero loss trade. Alright, another one. So the same low, this candle and this candle has the same low. So for me, the low was never taken, shows some weakness to moving lower. Second TP, beautiful. About to take the third. Come on. Stop and break even, zero risk trade. Third TP, perfect. So now I have one on, let's see, up with one on 1.5 here. One on 2. And I have a runner 2 on the 4 deviation above here. Put it on this one. These I'll put on 50% of the opening range, and the runner above here on the almost 4 deviation. Let's go. Yeah. So I can have the 2 measures. So let me see this one. I'll stick to the second one, so that will be my here. There we go. No, hold on. Yeah, this is the opening highs. That's it. So let's wait to see how the price move. Yeah, right. Sorry, was my bad. I didn't check the news. So that was this candle that stopped me on break even. But it's fine because my stop was a break even, so it was a zero loss, and we never take the low. So I entered this trade again, better position. So I entered with 6 micros in a better position, so it's fine. But was my bad, my mistake to not checking the news. Yeah, thanks, Rush. That was nice. Like I said. After this big move on the downside, we feel this deviation, the swing high that we make on the 50 minute. If you guys ask me how I get this deviation here, let me put on the different charts so I have like a clear. So, and even this one, let me remove the drawings. So on the 50 minute was where was the last swing high of the price start moving lower? Was this high here. So what I did was I measured high to the next opposite color candle low. In this case would be this guy. So I used this low, 15 minute, boom. That was my 44.5 deviation. So that's the reason I took the first short here and looking for these levels on the downside. So it was a nice short. And when price got here, I knew that that end was gone. So I was looking for a bullish move because this probably will be a market maker sell and buy model. So now we are on the buy model of the curve. I forgot the 10 a.m. news. So if not, if I will check it. I'll wait for the 10 a.m. to open this trade. So for me, that would be a clear move that we're gonna take at least the previous highs, the opening range high, and that where is my last TP here. That's 4 deviation and is the opening high. So market maker sell and buy model. So for me, it'll be very clear this move. We took a half of the position off. We just got another trade. So 4 micros off of my initial 6. Stop and break even, have 0 risk trade here, and now we just need to wait to see this move happen. Let me take off this zone so we can see clear. There we go. This I can take off. So that was the initial move, and also this move here. Look, we trade. I mean, it was 4.5 of that measure that I just showed. And this, we are up between 3.5 and a half deviation of the opening range. So that could be the end of the move. And also, that was 6.5 deviation of 9 to 9.15 window. So, I mean, it's beyond that we expect. We expect price up to 4.5. Also, I was looking to the other charts. Remember, said the high and low of the day usually be around 4.5 or 9 to 10 p.m. window. That was this green box. When I saw price here, I said this move is about to be done. What else? On the time range based deviations, remember I said if we fail to close above 50%, boom, not a tick above, not a tick below the 50%, we're moving lower. Close below the regular trading hours range, and I expect to see price do reaction on the first or the second gray box. We trade a little bit below the first, we almost touched the second, so that was my 0.37 deviation, never closed below my third level here, so it's a weakness to moving lower. We move back to the regular trading hours range, where its price is right now. Also, the 6 to 9 a.m. range, like I said, the New York range, if we fail to take the highs here, we never close above the 11%. That's 886 level on the upside. Weakness to moving higher, so I'll pay attention to moving lower. Initially, my first long that I got stopped out with a small loss, it was a reaction on the first gray box here. That was this move, but we failed to close below the lower quadrant, so weakness to moving higher. So I expect the finish of this move on the 30 gray box of the 6 to 9. That was here. So when I saw price here, said, there you go, baby. That's the end of move. I entered long here, and the news candle moved back, but never closed below, and it didn't take this low. Confirm my move. So what I'm expecting the price to get back is to 6 to 9 lows. That's here, or around 50% of this range. That will be here. So that was beautiful for me. Also, the 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. I expect price when fail to close above the upper quadrant here. First gray box or second. We almost touched the second, so end of this move, confirming for me as well. And on the 2 to 5 a.m. range, fail to close above 50%, weakness to moving higher. I'll pay attention to around 1 deviation and 1.272, where price were here to make the lows. So I have like this all confluences to take the second long. And then yeah, that was basically and also this one here, the range for the other way to see the daily deviation, 8 p.m. to 11:02 p.m. range. Manipulation level, retracement on the half deviation above, we trade back at least around 2 deviation. That was here. So now pay attention, price back at least to this first gray, the first gray box below the range, 0.11. Price is almost getting there. What else that I could notice here? Mean eye opening range, fail to close above the mean eye opening range. I expect the range is smaller than 20 points, 8 or 12 deviation a day. We touch 12, not a tick above, not a tick below. That's here, 12 deviation, end of the move. So now pay attention, price get back to mean eye opening range, or at least 2 and 2.5 deviation up here. At least this move. What else? Opening and closing range. Price was moving to this opening here. We have a gap, never close below the lower quadrant. is the weekly still moving lower, so now pay attention price back to the opening. It's where it is right now here. And then regular trading hours, price started moving from the daily new day opening gap to new week opening gap, failed to close below the lower quadrant of the lower quadrant, so 50% lower quadrant of the main levels. And if I draw a quadrant from the 50% to this high, failed to close below this lower quadrant, weekends to touch the new week opening gap. Also 2.5 deviation of the regular trading hours gap, failed to close below, reversal or retrace, and now pay attention price get back at least to the upper quadrant, where's pricing right here, closing above, test the new day opening gap here. And finally, from the hidden range, we are moving from the 50% of the range. When we fail to close above here, I'm looking price moving to the 50% to the low. Range low, we test the low again, fail. Today, another try, range low, fail. So when price starts moving below the range low, I'll pay attention to the first level below the low, my 86 level. If I draw a quadrant from 86 to my low, that will be here. We never close below the lower quadrant. We can still moving lower, and now I'll pay attention price get back at least to the first range above the lows. This 86 is where price is right now. Closing above this level, I'll pay attention and move it towards to the half deviation again, where we failed to take it to close above on Wednesday. And yeah, that's it. So let's wait to see how the price unfold. I have the hidden range here to follow as well. So range low, we trade to right now on the 86. So pay attention to thinking about a fractal move from the low to the 50%. I'll pay attention price trade at least to the first level below the half. That'll be this 618 here. So I'll pay attention price trade at least to here. But because I know I have the 4 deviation here, I want to see price testing the half and the first level above. That will be this line here, and that will be my 4.5 deviation of this move, this measure, sorry. So let's wait the price unfold. Like I said, zero risk trade for us. What I can do, I mean, to be more safe, I would, let me see, that would take to 2 deviation. Now it's 10-10, so probably by 10, 12, 10, 15 start moving back to the opening. What I do, I'll put one here. I won't be greedy on opening range low, and I have a runner, and that's it. I'll just be waiting because right now I'm $850 profit for the session so far. So if this trade got my last GTP, that will be close to $1,000 profit, and that I'll be done for the day and for the week. Was a pretty nice week. I'm up almost $4,000 right now in the profit for this week. So just let's wait. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, Miss Tenda, Trade and Anastasia. Good to see you here, guys. Let's just wait. It was a nice session for me. Like I said, initially I was thinking to a manipulation higher to trade lower, but later we make the first manipulation to the downside, and now market maker sell and buy model. So today, happily, I could figure out to get the full movie on the down, almost full movie to the downside, and the full movie to the upside. So I guess my first short was on this retrace, so I entered short around here. So that was a 89 points on the downside, and now on the upside that would be another 136 points. So that's 220 points for this section. For me is more than enough to be pretty nice. Thanks, Rush. I appreciate it, man. No, Samir. I used the stab map on this time frame. I just have the macros level. So on the 950, each macro, 950, 1050, I have the macro levels. I have just the daily levels and the 1 hour levels on this chart. So this is the 1 hour opening manipulations from the 1 hour, and the daily levels that will be here. The daily levels for the stab map. But I have on the other charts, and those levels that for me is the most important, and I just got the notification here when those levels are hit. That's let me erase this one. that's the 7-hour and the 9-hour levels that I have here on this chart, and I gave the alerts so I can see when price hits some levels. So today 9-hour open on the 3 a.m. And 9-hour distribution bearish was here. Also the 7-hour opening at the 8 a.m. We didn't get there, but today those levels wasn't so accurate, but for me that would give him some trigger to think about longs when price finished the 9-hour delivery that was here. And remember, we were talking about on the beginning of the call, I would expect price pay attention on this 1-hour BC. So yesterday we traded to the lower quadrant, and today what is important to see here for bullish moves, we filled the BC but never closed below. So look, the 9 a.m. candle filled the BC low, but the body closed inside, so that's a weakness to moving lower. And also if I'm thinking about, okay, when we trade to 3 deviation, 3.5, we usually just here retrace it to 0 and -1, right? 0 and -1, we retrace to a little bit below the -1, so now we are making moving towards to the 4 deviation that will be up here. And also if I'm thinking about Fibonacci retracing from the low to the high, Fibonacci retracement, we retracement to 0.618 retracement levels between 618 and 0.705, and now we're making the movement towards to 3.5 and 4 deviation. Maybe not get there today, but if not today, I'll say by Sunday opening to Monday, we're gonna see price around here 4 and 4.5 deviation. That's what I expect, because price is playing exactly how I am expecting for the deviation. 3 and 3.5 retracement to 0 and 1, and final push it to 4 and 4.5. So we need to wait. Let's see here, put this over. So yeah, that was my another TP. So now I just have the runner, so perfect. So stop and break even, 0 risk trade. We touched the opening range now and failed to get inside, and so far we failed to close above the 2.5 deviation. So what I pay attention now is the retracement from this fractal consolidation low to the high, and if you see the price respecting these retracement levels, and then make this another push into up here. If you're not, I mean, it's fine, we are on profit. So like I said, now if it is another TP, I'm at $910 in profit. So I'll wait to see how many points we have here. So from here to here, that will be another $110. Yeah, 53 points. So $106. So that put me a little bit above $1,000 profit for the session. So let's wait. You're welcome, Samir. Thanks, Nico. I appreciate it, man. So yeah, guys, let's wait for a few minutes more. Like I said, I'm not gonna take any more actions. I'm gonna watch the price until 10:30 and see what happened next, and then I will wrap up this one. But like I said, for me, no more actions for this trade. It was beautiful. We just need to wait to see if we gotta get to the last level here. And if you guys have any questions, I mean, feel free to ask. I mean, I can talk about, but I guess I tried kind of explain what was the confluences and levels that I was looking in the price to take first the short and later the long for today. Yeah, Mr. Tandem, the 0 and 0.25 deviation, for me, that's a very important level to pay attention. The reaction. So remember, I said initially in the day we are on a consolidation. So after this moving on the downside, so that was the New York move. So we have to pay attention. Okay, the quadrant from -25 and the opening, and I have another one from half to the -25. So what we can see here, we trade to the upper quadrant, failed to close below. So if I use a quadrant from 50% to the upper quadrant, if I do this same measure, so a fractal quadrant measure, where we fail, lower quadrant, weakest tube moving lower. So from here we start moving higher. And where's pricing right now? On the upper quadrant, So right now, if we do the same here on the 0 and the upper quadrant, initially we failed to close above 50%. So what I pay attention to the quadrant, from the upper quadrant to the half, and price holding above 50%. Holding above 50% show that price start to moving higher and to taking the highs, because if you fail to close below 50%, is a bullish move right now. That's a weakness to moving lower, and right now price just get back to the upper quadrant here. So a little bit small consolidation, because right now I have this breaker here on this move on the downside. We're making this. We can see this is a high, low, and higher high. So that's a bullish breaker, bearish breaker. Sorry, and I'll pay attention to the levels here, because right now again we're back to upper quadrant to the 50% range. And here was important for me to see price respecting this fractal consolidation levels, retracing up to 0.786 here. And what I'm gonna do, I'll say, let me see. No, that's fine, because actually if I was seeing pricing closing below the fractal consolidation, I would trade in my stop to lock a bigger profit. But right now it's fine. Look, retracement to 0.786 for now is all good to seeing price moving higher. And also thinking about the deviation, now we got on 2.5 deviation zone. This is a retracement zone, so we can expect price retrace sometimes up to 0 and -1. That will be here. 0 and -1. That will be here. But few times we retrace to 1, -1, and 1.5. And that where's price just touch here the 1.5 zone, because this is I would say this is like a trend move, because sometimes we have like two different kinds of a move. I would say market maker move when price is making more retraces before getting to 4 deviation, and sometimes we have like I'll call a trend move. We almost don't make a retrace, we go almost straight away to or the 2.5 or the 4. So from the low to the 2.5, we almost didn't make a retrace. We make this small one, and now we make a few more here when we're about to get the 2.5. And how can we anticipate if it will be a market maker move with more retraces or a trend move? We need to see the mirror leg. I mean, the in this case is a market maker sell and buy model. So the sell side of the curve was a market maker move or a trend move. Basically a trend move, because from this high to this low we almost don't make a retrace, you just move straight away. So a trend move. So when we have a trend move, the next move that will be match this leg here, the buy move of this model would be a trend move as well, because trend move on the downside, trend move to the upside. So clear move, and now the second part of the market maker, that would be to take the opening highs. That will be a market maker, because we make a low, bigger retrace to moving lower. So we expect to make a retrace here before getting there. So be a mirror what happened on the left side. On the right side will be a mirror of what just happened on the left side here. I always let that chart on the 5-minute rush, because sometimes I let on the 5-minute, or sometimes I let to 15-minute, because I can see the full range of the day. Usually I let on 5, but if you look to 5 or the 15, for me we basically have the same information. I just don't like to have this chart on the 1, because if I had it on the 1 minute, I mean, to see the range, the beginning of the range, I mean, takes too much of my screen and the candles get too small. But even though the levels, the reactions, so remember I was expecting a reaction between first and the second gray box. If I was using the 1 minute, I mean, with a little bit more zoom, that works perfect because I can see the candles close here, and I was looking for, okay, my 30 level, that would be the 37 deviation. So if I draw a line, so I can see that the bodies basically respect this level. I just have one single candle closing below this line, was the 953 candle, but the very next candle closed above. So even if I was using the 1 minute, wouldn't be noise for me. But on the 5, I can see that the wick, just the wick trade below the level and bodies holding above. So that would be the same for me. But I like to let on the 5-minute chart this range here. Yeah, much cleaner. Yeah, BPR trade, Anastasio, like correct. Have the balanced price range here. So let's see right now, because okay, now we start trading a little bit lower. So sorry, below this fractal consolidation. But remember, I said I pay attention to 0 and minus. What is this level? 0 and minus 1, and also I have this this breaker here, and because that was the last swing low, I was looking for the measure from the fractal consolidation, but I could use this low here because that was the last swing low before moving and taking the previous highs. So if I look into this Fibonacci retracement, we're retracing to 0.786 right now, and so probably like we are about to get the 1030, so we probably like to see this right after the 1030. We start moving back inside to the opening range, and here we still respect the minus 1 and 1.5 level. Look, 50% of minus 1 and minus 1.5. The candle never closed below 50% minus 1 and minus 1.5 deviation of this move. And also what's very important that I just noticed on the opening closing range, look, that's 5-minute chart, price holding above inside this opening range. We trading lower because price moving higher, failed to close inside today's opening, but on the retrace we failed to close below 50% between the upper quadrant and the low. But look at the body's inside this previous opening range, so this shows some bullishness for me. So I need to see now pricing closing outside this opening, because here we fail, and then get back to today's opening range above here. And remember when I was talking about the 6 to 9 AM range, I would expect price to trade back at least to the opening range low. 30 gray box, end of the move most of the days, and here we trade back to the opening range low. We trade inside, fail to close below the 86, the first level inside the range. The body failed to close inside. On the retrace, we never close below the first gray box, usually the manipulation. So this show some strength to get back to the opening. And if we close inside, I'll pay attention to the lower quadrant and the 50%, and later the upper quadrant of this range. And we probably gonna see, because since we already swept the lows, we trade to the 6 to 9 range high and swept the pre-market highs that happen on the 750, and that will be here. That will be 23,927.50. So our last TP is 923. So if your price get there, we'll hit my last TP, and that will be perfect. But right now, prices show some prices is struggling to take the previous high here, but for now looks okay for the retracement on the downside. And here, since I have this new move, I'll pay attention to this retracement here if you respect these levels. Look, retrace to 0705, perfect to the tick, not a tick above, not a tick below. So now I need to see price close above 50% of this small dealing range, and then taking the previous high. Just close above the half, and now I need to see now price move and take the previous high to confirm bullish structure. Now we retrace bit almost to 0786. Maybe price can touch the 0786 and then start moving higher. Touch 0786, fade to close below. If start moving lower, probably gonna trade lower, because here we can see right now bearish structure. We make a high, retrace, take the previous low, on the retrace fade to take the previous high. So now pay attention, if it is like taking this low, probably close this trade, and that's fine, because maybe we can get there to the 4 deviation later, because right now we don't have the confirmation yet to move it to the 4 deviation up here, because we didn't close above 2.5. So I'll pay attention. If we close below this low, I'll close the trade, and then I'll be done for the section. Right now we sweat the lows, but let's wait this candle close. But looks like if this candle closes above the 886, that was just a sweep of liquidity moving higher. Because when we swept a higher low but failed to close below the high or low, that's a weakness to moving lower, and it just closed below the low, so doesn't look good. So I'll be waiting just one more thing, if it's going to respect this 886. If it close below this one, then it's done. It's done. Because right now, if I think about that was the low and the dealing range, we can retrace up to this level, and from here moving higher. But if you close below this level, we're gonna take the lows. That will be here, because right now the body is holding above the 886 of this range. This candle retraced, touched the 886, but the body looks to close above the 0.76, so high resistance liquidity run, retrace. And if this candle close above the here or even above the half, will confirm for me that we just a retrace to keep moving higher. Look, the bodies never close below 0.76. And if I'm looking for this breaker, we retrace to the main threshold, 50% of the breaker. Price touch the 50% of the breaker and fail to close below. So right now I need to see this candle. I mean the price close above half of the range, because in here we just touched the half and failing to close above. So if you can close above 50%, is the weakness to moving higher. So now I need to pay attention if we're gonna start closing on the levels above. So here we touch 86 and fail. Now I need to see price not trading or closing below 0.786 and then 0.705 to start moving higher. Like levels of price need to start moving, making like new highs, I'll say, or failing to make new lows. So here was one step, the second one, the third, and the fourth. And now we did 0.86, failed to go to half. Didn't close below 0.786, so fine. So I need to see now price moving higher on the next retrace after this candle close, not trading below 0.786. Again, we touch the half, failing. So now we need to see pricing not trading below 0.786 and start closing above 0.705. Alright, we never close below 0.786, so now we need to see this candle close above half. Now since we take the previous high, still a bullish structure, because we make a low on the retrace, take the previous high, retrace, fail to take the low, and this candle just take the previous high. So we need to see now making the same logic and taking the previous highs, this one and this one. And of course, first we need to close above the half, because right now we didn't have this confirmation. So when price failing to close above let's say half or even the 0.76, and that's the reason we have this consolidation here. We are stuck on this small range of 15 points, and this full range, I mean from this low to this high, it has to be 27 points. There you go. This is 26 point half, 2 ticks difference, because a range, it has to be always 3, 9, 27, 81, 243, 729, 21, 87, 6546. So the minimum range for Nasdaq is 27 points, and that's the range here, 27 points. And if I use my fib that I have on the hidden range, that will be this one here. If I measure fib RMT, there you go. Let me take off this one for a while. So if I use my fib here, is where price is moving. Look, we make a low on the 0, and then we trade to the range high. We never close above 0.786 on the upside, and until this candle we didn't close to 0.786 on the downside, so it was a consolidation range. So now what I need to pay attention, we just close to the range low, but I need to pay attention that I have the 11% below or above. That can be the fair price for this range. So if you're not closing below this one, I'll pay attention to price get back to, since we're back inside the range, to the 50%. If you close above, 50% to the high and 11% above. And here, that's a bit the range. Yeah. This SMT, Mr. is the SMT divergence of the TFO. This one here. And here, all right, let me see just one thing, because right now 0 and -1. Remember I said usually the retrace has to be on this level between 0 and -1, and now we just touched the -1 on this candle. So a normal retrace could be to 50% of this range. Few times, like I said, we retrace to -1 and 1.5, but the correct one will be 0 and -1, and that's blue box here. So up to 50%, it's fine. And if you think about to measure the range, low and high, okay, that was the low of this, the beginning of the move, and this is the high. So we can expect price retrace around 615 or 0.786, and here we could think about the maybe. That was the candle start the move. The range will be this one, and then we will see price around 618, 0.705. That will be 50% of between 0 and -1. Let me raise this one here. And now since we start moving lower, we didn't close below the 1.11, but if so, we will pay attention to the new range that will be formed on the downside here. So right, 0 -1, 50%, where's prices right now. So let's see. And here we can double check just one thing. So this one, high, next opposite color candle low. If I measure this swing high, this high, next opposite color candle low, we are on the 4.5 deviation. So that probably be the end of this movement on the downside. Let me put it here on steady. Look, 4.5 deviation of that move. So what I'm gonna do, I will and that's a factor consolidation, so I'll pay attention to this one. Alright, I add one more, and I'll put on this highs here, and I'll have my runner. Because I was looking for a wrong measure. That's my 0 and -1. This candle makes the swing low. So 0 -1, we failed to close below the 0. So I add one more. And then to be a 0 straight as well, I'll move my stop to break even, and whatever happens, so let's see, stop me out on break even, it's fine. I'm still in profit for the session. If not, I will have a one on this highs here, a one on the 4 deviation up there, because looking for this deviation, we never close above the 2.5, so I don't have the confirmation yet. And then I'll be waiting, so maybe I'll enter again, hold on. Because now it's the 1050 macro, yeah. So I'll enter again, yes. And then I'll be waiting for I'll put my stop below, let me see the correct level, below this low here, and the same targets. That was just a sweat on the lows, failed to close below so far. So I'll pay attention. If the price start moving, I'll move my stop to break even, and that will be the zero risk trade again. And if the price didn't move right now, I'll be done for the section, because now it's the 1050 macro. We trade to the manipulation levels of the macro. So now expect price moving to at least to this. I'll put some of the targets on this consolidation high here. Yeah, this one. I'll put on this highs. On the previous highs here, this one. And that was a retracement to 0705 of the full range. That's here. Yeah, David, there are different models. I mean, I sent you the playlist today earlier for you. What I would recommend to watch first. So initially the 7-hour chart, and after that you can move in for, I guess I sent it, there was the opening range model, and then you can go step by step after you be familiar with the one model at a time. You go to the different models, so you can later start looking for the range, and then the daily deviation model. But like you remember what I said today, I was looking initially for the opening range model, the levels of manipulation of the opening range deviations, and the time range deviations. And you've pay attention, that's the most important, what Alex just said. You measure swing highs and lows using the 3-minute time frame. That was the most important. Yeah. And pay attention to the Fibonacci levels. So if we if the move didn't close above or below the -1, that would be a manipulation move. And if the price closing above a -1, confirms that's a distribution move, and then we know the price will move at least to around 2.33 and 2.5. So for example, this move here, after we close above -1, on this candle, we can anticipate the price will move at least around 2.33, 2.5 deviation. That was here. And now we need to see the price close above this 2.5 to get to 4. We didn't have yet, so we make this retrace. Right now, we are on the retracement levels, and then we can start seeing the price moving from here. And we always pay attention to the full range retracement. So in this case, from this low to the high, we need to see price when do this bigger retracement. Retracement around 0.618, 0.705, and 0.786, one of these three ranges. And if we respect these levels, we probably most trading higher. If I'm thinking about, for example, the move on the downside, what can I see here? Okay, if I was looking for the 3-minute time frame, I have this swing high here, right? So if I measure this candle here, so this candle to the high to the low is my 3-minute time frame swing high. If I measure these levels, looking for, even if I get back to the 1-minute time frame, what I can see here, I have this measure. When this candle closed below -1, here, this candle, that's a confirmation that we're going to trade at least 2.33 and 2.5. So we make a retrace, never close above half deviation, and then we make a trade, we trade lower. This candle closed below the 2.5, so this confirms that we're going to trade at least to 4 and 4.5. Let me put this on this side. And here, 4 and 4.5 was the end of that move to the downside. Look, price trade to 50% of 4 and 4.5. So that was the end of the move. So now, what I need to do here? Okay, if I move back to the 3-minute time frame, and that's what I did. Look, I measured the candle that makes the low and the high. And now here, back to the one minute, this candle closed above -1, confirms that we're going to move to at least 2.33 and 2.5 zone. Here we didn't have the confirmation to move to 4 yet because we never closed above the 2.5, so price make this retrace. And here, because when we don't close above 2.5, that could be two things: or a retracement move and later get back to moving higher to the 4 deviation, or can be a reversal move, right? Because in this case we never close above 2 deviations. So I mean, I just noticed this right now, we didn't close above 2 deviations, so that most likely to be a reversal move. So let me just wait for the reaction on the, hold on the 0.786, because since this we never get to 2.5, usually 2 can be the reversal. And now I need to do the same thing here, 3-minute time frame. Okay, I have this candle, so I'll pay attention to 4 and 4.5 of this move, so I have some room to get there, and that will be here, because right now we are right close above below -1 here, and we just about to trade to we just closed below 2.5 right here, so we're about to trade around 4. So I could close this trade, I mean, with this small profit, or I can risk a little bit more. I mean, I'm not recommending you to do this. When we get to 4 will be the end of this move, and I can another, let's say 2 more, make an average price to and when price moving back, I'm not taking this small loss, because right now we trade to 3 and 3.5 deviation of the 3-minute swing high. And also we have this fractal consolidation here, so that's the reason I was measuring this this level here. But on the 3-minute could be this one. And like I said, I just noticed that we didn't get to 2.5 on this move into the downside. Also, what you can pay attention is, since we make a retrace and we never close below 0.886, that could be indication that we're not going to trade lower, because when we're going to sweep the, for example, the lows, we need to see price closing below 0.886 of a retrace. Right now we trade between 0.705 and 0.886, so this can be just a retracement to moving higher. But like I said, I just noticed that we trade to 2 and we never close above this opening range, so this shows some weakness of the price. So I'll most likely to see, okay, maybe we can trade to 4. So I'll close this trade right now, because that was I was entering long, think about a retracement, but this is most likely to see a reversal move. When we trade just to 2 deviation and not to 2.33 and 2.5 and make a retracement from here, this is most likely to see the 2 deviation. And if I measure this here, look, we never close above this level. This can be a reversal. So now what I will pay attention, now have the 11 a.m. opening. If we're not closing below this level, maybe like I said, I'll enter this 2 and looking for the opening range lows at least, and later the 4 deviation up here. But right now, and I'll probably not doing nothing today because it's Friday. Price already moved a lot this week, and I think it's not worth it to make the risk. Yes, Alex. Yes. Like I said, we closed below this 2.5, so we most likely go to here. And because for me, that was not just a retrace. That this could be the reversal, because we never closed above -2, and also we never closed inside the opening range. So I'll be done for this session, guys. Yeah, I'm $700 profit. It's pretty nice. I should have closed when price started trading here, but I was talking about different things. It's nice, still a nice profit. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this one. It was a pretty nice section for us, and appreciate the time, guys. Thanks, Bila. Appreciate the time, brother. Thanks, Trady and Anastasio. So have a great Friday, guys, and a happy weekend, and see you guys next week. Thanks, Jess. Appreciate the time. Thanks, Miss Tenda, Rios, Carmela, Fernando, Alex. Appreciate the time, brothers. Dave, Rush. So have a great Friday and great weekend, guys. Thanks, Jesser. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.